I want to go over all the books that I want to read in 2025. I don't even think that I have 35 books on my physical book list, and that's also counting my Kindle reads and my audiobooks. But if I don't hit that goal, it's really not a big deal. I will feel super accomplished with any reading that I get done and can even get to. But let's talk about my current reads first. So I'm currently reading First Time Caller by B.K. Borson, a really cute romance book that just came out in February. And I was gonna say, I know it's February and I'm showing you guys now what I want to read in 2025, but it's still early enough. I am more of a TBR reader, I feel, but I can become a mood reader here and there, so whatever works. As long as I'm reading, I'll be happy. And I'm currently still reading A Court of Wings and Ruin. I did some reading yesterday, so I just got into part 3. Yeah, part 3. So I want to say almost done. This is how much I have left. So doesn't look a lot, but it always feels like a lot while reading. Even though I really don't think it's taken me that long to get through, I'm taking a while reading it with my own pacing, not the book itself. So, and I'm also still listening to this audiobook right here. I listened to some today, but let's just get into the good stuff. The first book is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Heard really good things about this, and it's the same author that wrote the Natural series. So I did start book number 1 last year, so here is book number 2, Killer Instinct. Hopefully I will get back into the series. The YA book that has been compared to Criminal Minds, and reading the first book, The Naturals, definitely showed that. So I know I'm gonna be really invested in this book series. I just have to get back into it. My whole thing with series is that I like to read the first book and take a break, because I feel like if I read it back to back, I might get tired of it. I can finish series, I just need breaks in between. And I wish I was a better reader when I could just pick up right where I left off, but I'm not, and that's okay. Maybe that's my mood reader side with series, I don't know. But along with First Time Caller, because this is her recent book, I finally got the last book, Business Casual, part of her Love Like Farm series. I am just really obsessed with this author. I never shut up about her or her books, particularly number 2, In the Weeds, is my favorite. But it's a bittersweet ending to say goodbye to the Love Like Farm series. But I'm just glad that I have this book in the meantime, because like I said, she's my favorite and I can't get enough of her. So I will be reading the last book in the series eventually. I'm just glad I finally have them all as well. I really wanted to collect them. And that's a series that you can read as a standalone. So feel free to either pick that up and read it all as a series, or read one book in particular, then you can pick up any and just read that on its own. Going back to the books that I want to read sometime this year, it's Karen Slaughter, Pretty Girls. I hear a lot of really good things about this book, but that it is heavy, so it is recommended to look up any and all trigger warnings that you can for this book. So just keep that in mind if this is also on your list to read eventually. My favorite influencer, Brady, always talks nonstop about this book in a really good way, but also emphasizes that you should look up trigger warnings. So I am also emphasizing that as well, and I will be looking up trigger warnings whenever I start this book this year. I have to get back into horror or thriller books. It's usually one of my favorite genres. I've been in into a lot of romance or YA book series recently, which is totally fine. But I really do love horror or thriller books, especially around spooky season or starting the fall season. So the September house is going to be perfect to kick off fall because of the month. So that works, and I can't wait to get to that. I read The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. Lisa Jewell is actually one of my favorite go-to thriller authors. So I immediately wanted The Family Remains after I read The Family Upstairs, but instead of immediately reading it, I just went ahead and immediately bought it. So I definitely have to get back into this series. It's not really a series, it's like a duology, I guess, because it's only 2 books. So I gotta get back into her. With spooky or like Halloween season, I think this will be a good read during that time. Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I've heard really good things about this, and then I heard really okay things about this, like mid. So I know book 2 a lot of people like didn't really like. People weren't crazy about this book too, but reading is subjective, so that's okay. Again, FOMO led me to adding this to my TBR list. I actually really appreciate all her books having some kind of alliteration. So this first one is Butcher and Blackbird. The next book is Leather and Lark. And the third book just came out recently. I believe it's called Skith and Sparrow, but I'll put it here for a fact check. But this is a friends to lovers, and that's one of my favorite tropes. I'm going to assume that the next 2 books are different tropes, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to this one. And then this is one of my favorite authors of all time, up there with Lisa Jewell and B.K. Borasan. Frederick, I don't want to say Bachman, but I don't know if it's Bachman, so we're just gonna call him Frederick. It's the Beartown series. I do believe this is a series, and I believe it was turned into a TV show. I could be wrong. I'm gonna fact check somewhere as well. But he wrote one of my favorite books of all time, which is Anxious People, another book that I just do not shut up about. I say that is the book that literally everyone needs to read. So if you haven't read it, please do. But I just love the way he writes, so I had to get another Frederick book immediately. I did also read A Man Called Ove, or Ov. You know, I love his books, but I just don't know how to pronounce some things with him. But that's okay. And this one guy shared a quote of his. I follow him on TikTok, and he raves about this book. And I don't remember the one quote that he shared specifically, but I was just like, yeah, you're coming home with me. I'm finally gonna get into a few new authors. Like Bryn Weaver is a new author for me. Karen Slaughter is a new author for me, as well as Carissa Orlando for the September House. But I'm really looking forward to these 2 new authors in particular. So that is the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. I do have The Sundown Motel as a hardcover. I'm team paperback, but that book was given to me. But she's in the storage unit right now. So, and I haven't read her. Paperback is just easier for me to hold and store. Nevertheless, this book sounded like it was right up my alley. It is involving a true crime blogger, so that is literally what I enjoy. It sounds just something that I would like, and I've heard really good things about this one and about this author as well. So I would love to read this as her debut for me. And then this book is probably the only book of his that is truly recommended, especially if you're getting into this author for the very first time. And that is Riley Sager, The Only One Left. I've heard non-stop really good things about this book. So this one, I actually kind of want it to be my horror book for this year around spooky season, but we'll see how far I get into my list and where he ends up being read. So I am definitely looking forward to this the most, and the cover is like pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of like a Stephen King movie or Stephen King book. So maybe that was his inspiration. And then lastly, as far as physical books go for what I want to get to this year, I love Holly Jackson. So this book, the reappearance of Rachel Price, I was looking forward to the most when it released last year, I believe. And I treated myself to a hardcover book, and it's signed, mind you. It's a signed copy. I treated myself to a book purchase for when I was able to start going live on TikTok. So I was just like, I'm gonna treat myself for that little, achievement. And I'm looking forward to it. Maybe this will be bumped up because I felt really bad that I haven't read her yet, and she was my most anticipated book. There's just too many anticipated reads to get to when a new year starts, and it's just so exciting, and it's just like, where do you start? But it's okay, they'll be read eventually. That is for all of my physical books. Now let's get into what I want to read on my Kindle. This is my baby. This is my little baby. As much as I really want to upgrade her, it's like one of the first generations for the Amazon Fire Kindle that they don't have anymore. So that's why I'm just like, listen, she's still working, she's still kicking. I'm gonna keep her as long as I can. The thing is that I would really like to do the cute aesthetic trend of having a clear case and, you know, decorating your Kindle with stickers and maybe like a little pop socket to hold it easier, you know. But that's okay. We listen and we don't judge, and we don't judge her. So this is what I have on my Kindle. The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose, Exodus by Kate Stewart, The Sweetest Oblivion by Danielle Laurie, Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh, another Frederick book called The Answer Is No, a short story, Love Anonymous by Kaylee Bradford. So I just went ahead and took advantage of whenever those deals come out on Kindle, whenever they have those stuff your Kindle days. So that's why I just went in one day and I was just like, add to device, purchase, add to device. But my top 2 priority books that I want to get to, definitely Exodus by Kate Stewart, because last year I read Flock, and again with series I just need a break in between. So, and you know what I just realized? I think I am getting through the ACOTAR series pretty well, because last year and going into this year is probably the first time where I'm actually balancing more than one book. I'm listening to an audiobook. I have another physical book, you know, if I want to start a Kindle book. So I think like those are a break in itself. When I was reading series a long time ago, I would only read one book at a time. I just made a little realization. Anyway, so I think Exodus is going to be the one that I prioritize on my Kindle, and as well as The Answer Is No, because it's literally a short story. I don't know how many pages, but I think really short stories or small, thin books are perfect to squeeze in, especially if you really want to reach your reading goal. So that's just my advice for trying to get to your reading goal, or to just add more books to what you're already reading. And then for my audiobooks, I'm going to put a screenshot right here of what's on my wish list. But I think I really want to go with other books. Those are all the books that I basically want to read, or at least try to get to sometime this year. Let me know what books are on your list for 2025. If you want to follow me with my reading updates in like real live time when I remember to update it, I am on Goodreads, so I will also leave that in the description box below, as well as my Instagram, because I am much more active on there. Feel free to hit that subscribe button if you want more bookish videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching as always. Bye.